Hello?
Hello? Hi, I'm calling to reach Mr. Marc Stevens.
Speaking.
Hi, my name is Marc. I'm calling from the Canada Revenue Agency in Toronto.
Yes, thanks for calling back. Glad we connected.
Yep. How are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Yeah, I'm okay. What time is it over there, by the way? Is it 2 or 3 hours behind? Or
I think we're 3 hours behind. It's 11:30 or
Pacific?
11:23.
Okay.
Yeah, Pacific time.
Okay, how can I help you?
Well, I spoke to one of your employees, an R.
Yep.
And was not able to get a good resolution, and he just struck me as not just being difficult, but a bit hostile and getting very sarcastic. He made a crack that the law, he wasn't able to provide me with any kind of evidence or facts or proof that the laws of Canada actually apply to Mr. O'Brien just because he's physically in Canada. And so he got a bit snarky with me, and when I had, admittedly, I was very difficult to speak with him, and I had said, "Are you suggesting that the laws are they apply, they're magical?" And he says, "Well, yeah, the laws may be magic." So, given the fact that you guys are trying to take this man's property by force, I didn't appreciate the sarcasm, and that's what I want to speak to you about. Mr. wasn't able to provide any evidence whatsoever that there's any jurisdiction over Mr. O'Brien, and didn't think that that was grounds to stop going after Mr. O'Brien. Is that a position that you would also hold?
Well, you said a lot there. I'm not too sure when I caught it all. Mr. O'Brien, he resides in Canada, yes?
Yes, he's physically in Canada.
Yeah, so then, of course, the laws of Canada apply to him.
Okay, well, I see the operating presumption is, and I see, we'll take this one step at a time, is that if someone is physically in Canada, then the laws of Canada apply. You agree with that, right?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
If I were in the U.S., the laws of the U.S. would apply to me, right?
No, well, if there's evidence, then sure. But I've done this an awful long time, and I've spoken even to federal magistrates here in the United States, and even a federal magistrate wasn't able to produce any kind of evidence. I've even spoken to the spokesman of the Ontario Attorney General, and they weren't able to provide one shred of evidence either. So my question to you is,
of what? Oh, sorry.
Well, your argument is that if I'm physically, or Mr. O'Brien is physically in Canada, then the laws of Canada apply to him. My question to you is, do you have any actual facts to prove that's true?
That's the legislation. I mean, all I know is, like, when I go to the U.S. and I cross the border of Buffalo, once I step foot on U.S. soil, I'm subject to U.S. laws, all those U.S. laws, whatever they are.
Oh, that's because there are men with
once
guns.
Once I present my passport at the border control as a tourist or whatnot, I'm subject to those laws. If he's a resident of Canada, he's subject to Canadian laws.
Okay, well, let's just get back to the actual. You're not actually answering the question. What is done in the United States is very much the same thing, and the people called the United States government, which is just men and women like yourself, they're equally unable as the ones in Canada to actually provide any facts. So what facts are there, instead of just pointing back to the legislation, which is getting into a circular loop or circular reasoning, what actual facts do you have that just because is physically in Canada, then the laws of Canada apply to him?
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to get into constitutionality and whatnot. I'm not, a professional or, lawyer and constitutional expert. The laws of Canada apply. If you dispute that, I mean, that's your opinion, or Mr. disagrees with that, that's his opinion. I can't change that.
I'm not asking you to.
Apply, right?
Well, no,
so you're asking me about facts.
Yeah.
I understand the law. The law applies to all. I'm not a constitutional expert or a lawyer. If there's an issue with that, I mean, he can always bring us to court and have a judge rule.
Well, let's not have this.
A judge would be the expert. The courts would be the expert, not me.
But you guys are the ones that are actually carrying this out. You're the ones making the threats against Mr. O'Brien. You guys. So bottom line, since you're not an expert, you can't provide any proof that the laws apply to him, and so you can't provide any evidence to prove that there's any jurisdiction over him in the first place.
The authorities are delegated to us from the Minister of National Revenue.
So now you're an expert.
Go to the minister. No, I'm not an expert.
So what I'm trying to get clear is that you because you're not a lawyer, you're not an expert, you can't provide any facts showing that your laws apply to Mr. O'Brien.
As we've been trained, if he's a resident of Canada, we can ask for the returns.
Yes,
which is what this issue is with Mr. Chapman, right? We're asking him to file the returns.
No, but whether someone is a resident presupposes that the laws are applicable to him because of his physical location in Canada. So, so we would dispute the argument that you have that he's actually a resident. That's why I always say physically in Canada, and you agree with me at the beginning of the call, that if someone is physically in Canada, even as a tourist, if I was to go into Canada for just an hour while I'm physically in Canada, your laws apply to me. My question was, what facts do you have to prove that? And you
to prove the legislation applies?
Yeah.
You're asking me what facts the legislation applies?
Facts to show that the legislation or the laws of Canada apply just because I or are physically in Canada.
That's a matter of the legislation of the country. That's the. I really don't know how to answer you. I mean, you're getting into
There's some
things that are
honesty.
way beyond what. This is constitutional matter. I mean, the minister delegates the authorities to us to enforce the Income and Excise Tax Act. If somebody has a dispute whether the minister's powers are applicable to that individual, they can take us to court.
Well, look, that's kind of an escalation. So what you're saying, I just want to understand your. Well, let me finish. Your position is that, and you were honest there. I'm glad that you stopped making these excuses and I really don't know how to answer. So, is it accurate to say that you are not qualified to determine that the laws actually apply to Mr. O'Brien?
You know, I'm not going to answer any more of your questions because I think you're trying to rope us into something that you'll probably use against me later on. If you have an issue, you can take it up to the minister, you can take it up to the prime minister, you can take it up with the courts.
Well, let me put it to you this way here, sir. Let me explain something to you.